Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Motorcycle Adventures. My name's Brian, and today we're coming to you from Leisure Resort in Fentress, Texas. Let's get going, take a look around, and let me tell you what we found out about this place. Alright guys, so like I said, welcome back. My name is Brian, and this is Motorcycle Adventures. If you've never joined us here before, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We do campsite reviews of all the different places we camp around Texas, and so this is the Leisure Resort RV Park in Fentress. Fentress is about, I don't know, 10 minutes north of I-10, north of Luling, so it's about 50 minutes from San Antonio, or 50 miles from San Antonio, or 150 miles from Houston, depending on where you're at. We live in Austin County. It took us just under 2 hours to get here. We rolled in on a Friday evening after picking up my daughter and wife from work and school, and now we're here through Sunday, so it was a quick, short little trip, but while we were here, we had a really good time. Let me go over some of the details and data about this place. So in terms of pricing, we did pay $52 a night for our site. It was a full hookup pull-through site, site number 72. Our friends were in site number 73. One of the nice things about the sites here was that we were able to do the Jack and Jill style, so that we pulled in backwards and they pulled in forwards, and we were able to have our doors facing each other. That was really nice because when we go camping with our friends, we want to be able to hang out with them, and that makes it just much more convenient. There is a per person charge once you get over 2 campers. It was $5 per person, so we had to pay an additional $10 to have our daughter stay with us for a group of 3 people in our trailer. So not terrible, but I can imagine if you have multiple kids, that's something you might want to take into consideration as you plan. In terms of amenities, the campground has back-in sites and pull-through sites. They have full hookups as well as water and electric only sites. They have concrete pads, and then they also have asphalt pads. Our site was an asphalt pad on 72. I believe in the 20s is where they have the concrete pads. My understanding is those are some of the more premium sites because they have a little bit more space, a little more private. So from talking to one of the employees, I do know that those tend to fill up and can be booked out up to a year in advance. So if you're coming and you want to come on a short notice, you kind of have to take what you get, which is exactly what we did. We booked this about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it worked out really nice for us. So as far as other amenities go, they have a lot of the typical things like a bathhouse. They have a laundry facility. They have sand volleyball, basketball. They have a playground. It is currently closed because of COVID. They do have a really nice dog park. We've been to some other places that had smaller dog parks, but this was quite large. There wasn't much to it, but it was a fenced-in, secure, open field, and our dog absolutely loved it. We were able to get out there and throw the ball, and she was able to run really far, so that was really nice to have that much space. So definitely kudos on the dog park. As far as other amenities go, they also offer tent camping and cabins. They also have what they call treehouse rentals. They're really just an elevated cabin that's like a 12 by 12 room, so nothing incredibly fancy here, but it meets your needs, and if you want to go to the river, it gives you a place to stay if you don't have a camper or RV. Okay, so getting into the pros and cons of this campground, I will say that one of the absolute best things about Leisure Resort is the access to the San Marcos River. It's an absolutely beautiful river. I have not really tubed or swam in the San Marcos River until this summer, and I gotta say, I like it. It's not too far from us, and it's clean. The water's cool. It's not always cold, but it's cool, and there's always a pretty healthy flow. We didn't have any problems of stagnant water or where the river had dried up. So having a nice sand or gravel bar down here at the campground is really nice. There is a little roadway where you can get down to the gravel bar with your vehicle, your UTV or golf cart, or even your personal like car or truck. They don't allow you to park down there, but you can drive down there to unload and load your supplies for the day. So it does get a little crowded, so they do encourage you, if you're going to set up a tent or a canopy, get out there early in the morning and go ahead and set that up so that you're ready for the heat of the day. As far as other pros about this place, the staff has been incredibly friendly. They were very nice. They would always stop and wave or ask if you needed any help, or if you needed anything whenever they would drive by. The pricing was really reasonable. $52 a night. We were able to be out here for under $150 for the weekend for a family of 3. That was awesome. We really enjoyed that. It's cheaper than going to a hotel or a water park, and that includes river access. There's also a pool here, so that was really a pretty fair deal. We didn't have any kind of problem with that pricing. All right, so to get into some of the cons about the site, and I'm just going to be honest that this is like my least favorite part, but it seems to be the part that I need to share the most about. So we definitely had some cons on our list that might not be a con for somebody else, but this is just our opinion, so just take it for what it's worth. Number one of our biggest issues, if you will, is how crowded it is here. The sites are supposed to be 25 feet by 65 feet according to their website. We had heard people say online in different reviews that the sites were kind of tight, and when we pulled in, that is no joke. We actually started wondering, is it really 25 feet? It didn't feel like it could be. So we pulled out our tape measure with our friends and we measured pedestal to pedestal. It was 19 feet. And I'm sorry, that's just really, really tight, because we don't have a slide, but they do. And so if you've got 2 trailers that are side by side that both have slides or have slides on dual sides, that's going to take up a lot of space, and so you just feel really crowded. And I know you're coming here primarily for the river, but we really wanted to kind of just stay at our camper some, and the sites are really long, and so there was space behind or in front of our camper when the truck wasn't there, so that worked. I know the people next to us, not our friends, but the other side, they actually put a projector up and watched a movie on the back of their trailer, and so there's lots of space behind your trailer. But when we tried to set up the Jack and Jill style, it was a little cramped and crowded. I don't think that it was simply because of the Jack and Jill style. I think really because 19 feet that's 19 feet, and that's not much when your trailer's already 8 to 10 feet, 12 feet, whatever, with your awning open or with your slides open. So just something to take into consideration. If you've got a lot of slides on your unit, that might be something to ask about. Is a more spacious site. Just be aware of that. The other thing was there are a ton of people here. I would say it's party central. We tend to like a quieter campground. I don't know that I would consider this that. They do have quiet hours from 10 p.m. to I think it's 8 a.m. And people were relatively respectful of that, but there was definitely noise right up until 10 o'clock. And so if you've got smaller children, that's something you would want to take consideration of, with early bedtimes and whatnot. We did notice that when we went down to the river, there were competing stereos. You want to listen to country music, you can go over here. If you want to listen to hip hop, you can go over here. If you want to listen to whatever else, we probably counted 5 or 6 different loud music sources in the couple hours we were down at the river yesterday, and it was a lot. It was kind of overwhelming. You're down on the river and you're thinking this is nice and peaceful and calming, but overwhelming. There's just a lot of people, and one of the reasons for that I also believe is because they do allow day use here at Leisure Resort. They allow folks to come in who are not campers, and they can pay a fee and they can come access the river from this spot. I think a lot of people do use this as an in-out point for tubing the river. They may park their car here, and then they'll go upriver and float down and then just get out here. But you do have a lot of people at that gravel bar area coming and going throughout the day, and it tends to get a little overwhelming. If you don't get out there early in the morning to stake your claim on a spot, even as we were there, my buddy and I were standing in the river at the spot while our wives were bringing the chairs back from the camper, and another couple just came up and literally sat at our feet and didn't ask if this was our spot. They didn't ask anything, and it was really uncomfortable because we wanted to be considerate of other people, and that's why we went down when we did. And we weren't taking the only spot in the river. There were still a few other spots, but they just felt like that was their spot, and so it was just kind of a tough spot to be in. It kind of felt very uncomfortable. It was a turnoff for me as a camper who paid. I'd rather pay, you know, another $10 a night and have dedicated access for campers only than to open it up to folks coming, you know, from outside of the campground. Just my 2 cents. So another con that we did notice, and this wasn't a huge thing, but the facilities are a little older, and they are pretty basic. From talking to the staff members, I believe the campground was opened in the 50s or 60s is what I was told by the original owners. And so you can imagine that there's a lot of older facilities in this campground. The bathhouse was pretty basic, and it didn't have a lot of the comforts that some of your other parks would have that have these kind of accesses. We have stayed in some other parks that had really nice restroom facilities, and this was not one of those. So it's a toilet and it's a shower, and it will function, but it doesn't make you feel like you're staying somewhere really nice. So, you know, use your shower in your trailer if you need to, but it is available. The laundry is available. They also have like a picnic pavilion. That's kind of cool, but there's just a lot of what seems to be a little outdated. It works, but it's just kind of outdated. Now, in response to that, I did hear that they are planning to open up a new section in the coming year or two. They have about 100 spots here on the river access side, and there is a pasture field just to the, I believe it's the south of the campground, where they intend to open up about another 100 sites. They're going to put in new power poles and new septic, and so they'll have space for long time or longer term renters and full timers and things like that that want to spend several weeks or months here. It won't have as many trees, but you'll have more space because my understanding is they are planning to make the spaces wider. They're not trying to cram as many people into such a small, you know, shaded area. So speaking of shade, it's hit or miss. I can tell you there's a ton of trees, like you can see them behind me, but honestly, when you're out by your campers, they're pretty small or they're pretty thin. If you're in the rows between, like, say, number 60 and 90, not much shade. The trees are surrounding you, and there may be one or two between you and your neighbor, but they're pretty small in stature. And so, I mean, I get that because we're pulling trailers in and out, and so they can't be really large, but it just makes it very difficult to get shade. And so in the evenings when the sun is going down, you're going to catch full sunlight when you're trying to be outside cooking or dining outside your trailer. So just be aware of that. It doesn't, you know, that's nothing unique to this place, but it is something to be aware of. So anyways, I guess overall, we had a good time here. We will come back. It's not on our top 5 list. I know there are some folks who really love this campground, and I would love to know your opinion and why you feel that way. You can drop it in the comment section down below if you have been here and you loved it. For us, we enjoyed the river access and just kind of the scenery of the place, but it was a little more crowded, a little more lively than we're looking for. We just like something a little bit quieter, but that's just us. So we will probably come back in the fall when there's not such a large crowd. We also did understand that there were quite a few groups that came here. We heard somebody singing happy birthday yesterday. The night before was just a group sitting around, having some drinks and around a campfire, and there probably were easily 20 of them hanging out. And so if you're looking for more of a party kind of lively scene, this might be a good place for you. If you're looking for something a little quieter, just be aware that you would probably want to get a site on the north side over by the playground or the cabins. That might be a little bit quieter by the dog park. That's what we're actually thinking for the fall. We might come back in the fall and do something like that. So there you go. That's our opinion. That's our review. I hope you guys find this helpful. If you're looking for something with river access that's a little quieter, I would encourage you to look A little further downstream in Luling, there's a couple places. You can also go to Seguin, which is about 25 minutes away, and I know there's 3 or 4 parks on the Guadalupe River. I don't know about those because I haven't been there personally, but those are on our list to check out. So if you're looking for something that's a little quieter, I'm sure you could find something. If you like a little bit of a lively attitude and a boisterous party vibe, come on, because this is probably the place for you. So anyways, until next time, please hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, leave comments down below and we'll be happy to answer anything that we can. We guys appreciate your support, and we love getting out here to show you guys about all these different campsites. See ya.